time yesterday since the NBA suspended its season a little over 2 weeks ago. He was a guest on the Road Trippin' podcast with, among others, our friend Richard Jefferson, who's going to join us in our next hour. LeBron explained some of the challenges the NBA faces as it hopes and tries to get back on the court, especially if the games were to resume without fans in the arenas.
Having a game without fans is just what is sport? What is the worst sport without fans? There's no excitement. There's no crying. There's no joy. There's no back and forth. There's no rhyme or reason that you want to go on a road and just dethrone the home team because of their fans and vice versa. Like, that's what also brings up the competitive side of the players, to know that you're going on the road in a hostile environment. And yes, you're playing against that opponent in front of you, but you really want to kick the fans' ass too.
That's LeBron with RJ. And here is a guy who knows a little bit about sparring with Richard Jefferson a little bit. It's our buddy Jay Williams is with us. Jay, what did you think of that? These comments from LeBron about playing in empty arenas?
Well, I understand what LeBron was talking about. Obviously, playing with fans can bring out a different kind of energy, and you can respond to that if you have a moment of being tired mentally or physically. But then I would disagree with him because, as hard as it is to manufacture your own energy, if you're playing in an arena without fans, Greeny, I would think and ask every NBA player, every athlete, implore them to be reflective of the times that we're in, right? So yes, it is hard to manufacture your own energy, but at the same time, it's hard for my next door neighbor who's pregnant, who's about to have a kid in this environment, right, where her husband can't go into the hospital with her. It's hard when you see thousands of people staying outside hospitals waiting to get tests. So if there's one bastion of hope that we have as fans, is please take our mind away from what's happening currently in the world. And if the hard part for players is to play in an arena with no fans, then we have to do that. We need to do that because us as fans, we need our superstar players to lead the effort to take our minds away from this horrific place that we're in as a society right now. That's what we need, Greeny. So if the time comes up, I really hope that LeBron and everybody, as hard as it may be, they step up and they bring that energy. They bring that kind of excitement to the game that we all expect them to have, because this is what we need from them. This is what we need from LeBron James and all the great leaders in sports. Who cares about fans right now? We need you on the court. We need you on the fields to be the best at what you can do. As a fan, that's what I'm in dire need of.
I so agree with that, and that's so well said, Jay. And Adam Silver said to Rachel last week in their interview that he is taking into account that there may be a civic responsibility for the league and for the players to try and find some way to put some entertainment out there for all of us who are starving for it. So I think that's very well said. Now let's get to the nuts and bolts of it here, because LeBron also had some intriguing comments about how the NBA could properly put together some playoffs if they are able to get back and do it after a hiatus. Here's what he said.
I mean, there's been so many conversations that's been tinkered around. I have not been on the calls. It's just my mind thinking and talking. There could be a best out of a three-team play-in. There could be, listen, there's 5 games left in the regular season. Let those 4 teams play each other, and then whoever got the best record out of that, maybe the final 2 teams had the best record, play each other for a game off to make the 8th seed. One thing you can't just do, just go straight to the playoffs, because it discredits the 60-plus games that guys had, fighting for that position.
So this is another part of it, right? There's 2 such completely distinct parts of this. There's how do we get everyone back on the court? And then once we do, what exactly is it we are doing? What do you think of that, Jay? How should they try and put together something that will create a champion?
Well, I like the scenario of a playoff round between those teams 8 and 11. I like those matchups to be able to see those teams kind of work into it. And I think inevitably, if you had 3 or 4 games that you're able to play as tune-up games leading into the playoffs, I think that would be good. I think the bigger question, Greeny, regardless of however you figure out the dynamics of the playoff seedings, is, and they addressed it in the podcast, how do you keep guys safe from everything that's going on? And Richard Jefferson brought up the idea of, do you quarantine teams throughout their playoff run? And LeBron's like, I'm not trying to have any of that. He wants to be around his family. So I think that is the biggest, and I do not have an answer for it right now. I think Adam Silver and company are still trying to ponder over how to do this. But do you quarantine entire teams as they're on this playoff route to make sure that everybody stays safe and you don't have to worry about having a situation where after a game you find out that somebody has it because they've been around somebody that they shouldn't be around? That's going to be the major question for Adam Silver and the league.
Absolutely. And Silver has repeatedly said, and I credit him for it, right now all options are on the table. There's no obvious reason at this point, when we have really no way of knowing, whether we have a crystal ball of exactly what the future is going to look like the next few months. Why take any option off the table right now? Let's see where it all winds up. Jay, it's great to see you. Great to hear your voice. Have a good weekend, my man, and we'll see you next week. There is other basketball to share this morning as well, because Warriors superstar guard Steph Curry had an Instagram chat yesterday, and his guest was one of the top medical experts on the coronavirus, that is Dr. Anthony Fauci, and he asked Fauci when fans can expect to resume mass gatherings like attending NBA games. Here's what he said.
We can start thinking about getting back to some degree of normality when the country as a whole is turned that corner and start coming down. Then you could pinpoint cases much more easily than getting overwhelmed by cases, which is what's going on in New York City.
And, you know, Fauci also did the Pardon My Take podcast. I give him a lot of credit for reaching out to places that he'll reach younger audiences. And speaking of Fauci and younger, this is Anthony Fauci when he was the captain of the Regis High School basketball team circa 1958. So in case you're wondering if he knows about more than pandemics, Anthony Fauci knows a little something about basketball as well. All right, as we continue here on Get Up, if he leaves Clemson early and declares for the draft, which team should consider not playing this well this season to try and get Trevor Lawrence? Tanking for Trevor. Dan Orlovsky will tell you after someone tries to guess the sneaky Hembo question. I'm told this one's for Bobby today. Which Heisman Trophy winner threw the most touchdown passes in an NFL season? That's the question. The answer's next. It's Get Up, ESPN.